please, sir, identify yourself and speak clearly. Here you go.
My name is Kevin. First of all, thank you, Ravando, for the eye-opening presentation. The discrimination against Chinese-Indonesians is an overlooked part, a very overlooked part in Indonesian history. I myself am not Chinese-Indonesian, but I do have a lot of Chinese-Indonesian friends who, even to this day, still experience the discrimination. And they tell me, every time I meet them, they tell me about the racism that they face. But my question is, and I may have skipped, didn't listen to this part, but have the Indonesian government ever acknowledged the mass killings of the Chinese-Indonesians, and what is their, if they do, what is the attitude?
So actually, the mass killings that I mentioned in my presentation before, so it's just like several examples of mass killings that occur during the period. But before that, so there were like quite a lot of other like mass killings that occur in another region, like in Tangerang, for instance, in 1946, in Bagan Siapi-Api also in 46, and also Palembang in 1947. At that time, I would say that the Indonesian government, like at the time in the case of the mass killings, Sukarno and Hatta and also Natsir, they come like to the public, they apologize like to the victims, but because it just like keep going, and after that, especially after the Dutch military aggressions, like the first and the second, it's very difficult to find like any recognition like from the Indonesian government. Even the pro-Republican newspapers and also the Dutch newspaper and also the Sino-Malay newspapers, they always have like different version of like the mass killings, which is like very complicated. But at the time, of course, they were like in the middle of the war. Like in the case of Tangerang, the pro-Republican newspapers, they accused the Chinese victims of collaborating with the Dutch, so that's why they were like massacred, something like that, which is like very complicated. But thank God, at the time, Sinpo was rebirth after forcefully like shut down during the Japanese occupation, and these Chinese newspapers, they can give like quite a lot of other point of view about like the massacres. And from the publications, from several articles that I read in these Chinese-Indonesian newspapers, it's obvious that the Indonesian government acknowledge about like what happened to the Chinese-Indonesians at that time. But afterwards, after the time like passed by, and if you look at the history books, maybe like nowadays, it will be very difficult to find like this kind of story in our history books. It's just like completely gone. We've never learned about like these dark histories in our schools, which is like very shame actually. So that's why what Pak Harsono did, I think it's very important, and it just like reveals like another fact about like what happened during this period, and I find this is very important. So hopefully it answered your questions.
Thank you, Ravando, for pointing this out and again underscoring the importance of Harsono's work.